What's I know that I know you're a big Apple fan. You're yeah. So I'm guessing you got an iPod or some type of MP3 like that.
Yeah, it's funny, I have an iPhone, and someone just recently gave me a 160 gig iPod that came loaded with like every top 40 song from the 1940s until 2011. Like, it just preloaded it with every song, and then the whole Beatles catalog as well, just to boot, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, that is. So basically, if we would turn on your iPod right now, what's playing right now? What's going through your head right now?
Man, that's tough. My tastes are eclectic, to say the least. You can get anything on my iPod, sans country music. So if you hit shuffle right now, you might get some dubstep. You might get anything from Adventure Club to Feed Me or Skrillex. You might get some rock like Deer Hunter. That's DEAR Hunter, not the DEER one. You might get them. You might get Dredge. You might get Drop Electric. You might get Telephone Tel Aviv. It's all over the place, which I kind of pride myself on a little bit, embarrassingly so. I love music is the one thing that drives me more than anything else. So I try to keep as much of it as I can, and I try to discover new stuff all the time.
Very, very, very nice. You actually just went up another peg in my book because my favorite band is the Beatles. I love the Beatles. So when you said that, I was just like, yep, you're already up there.
Oh yeah, man! You got to listen to it all. Like, but I mean, when I say eclectic, I mean, yeah, okay, that's newer stuff. But like, you'll get. I used to be in a jazz band. I play drums and keys. So you'll get Dave Brubeck all over my iPod. You'll get songs from the 40s and 50s. You'll get Johnny Cash. Like, it's all on there. Like, literally every genre, save for country music. I just can't do it.
You have a soul. Oh my God!
I've got one. I just
Johnny
don't care
Cash,
if
man has a
Jesus takes a wheel or if someone takes a baseball bat to the side of a pickup truck. I just don't care, country. I'm sorry.
What was your favorite interview or favorite celebrity that, obviously your celebrity status, and we're not going to take anything away from that. But as far as when you met this person, who was like the one person you went, wow, I can't believe I'm actually standing or sitting or talking to this person?
Wow, that's tough. There's been a lot of amazing ones. There really have been. I think, there was a moment chatting with, presidential candidate Ron Paul one year, getting to grill him about his stance on sort of net neutrality and internet issues. That was a moment for me. Jack Black has always been a great fan of the show and a great interview, and I got to play drums with him. That was cool. I got to jam with Coheed and Cambria as well. That was fun. Playing with Raymond Herrera from Fear Factory, that was a moment of my life that I'll never forget. Let's see, you know what? People really warned me about James Cameron. They said that James Cameron, man, you don't look at him the wrong way in the eye, or he's going to rip off your head, and he'll probably urinate down your neck hole. But he'll film it, and it'll look great, but he's going to do it. And when he showed up, half the office, the entire office came down. Half of them, though, were scared to be in his vicinity just because of all these stories that you hear, and people are warning you. And I never listen to any of that. It's too easy to have somebody come up who maybe vaguely ran into somebody at one point in their life and was like, maybe they're having a bad day, and they go, that person was a D-bag, that person was rude, whatever. I always try to approach it with a clean slate, but I'll be honest, I was really nervous. I was like, James Cameron's going to murder me with his eyes. He's just going to stare death right into me. With that said, one of the nicest, coolest dudes I've ever met in my life. He came in early, sat down, chatted with the entire crew, was just shooting the breeze about filmmaking and what movies he liked and what techniques he liked. And when he came on the show, we geeked out. And I mean, like, in a way, like, James Cameron is a nerd. Not only is he an incredibly fascinating person, brilliant mind, and amazing filmmaker, but he is a nerd. He waited until the technology was good enough to make Avatar, but the technology that wasn't there, he created. I mean, like, he is a nerd. And so when we sat down and geeked out about interocular distances for 3D and what that means, that was a moment of like, what the hell is going on right now? This is the dude who made Terminator. That was one of my favorite movies. I love it. I'd let him paint me like one of his French girls. Like, he's incredible. And we geeked out about cameras. And then at the end of the interview, we had a wrestler was guest hosting that day, one of the WWE divas. And so we had a bit where she came in and hit a mannequin with a chair. It was a stupid gag. Totally worked. She was great at it. But Cameron was like, I want to hit that mannequin with the chair. We're like, what? You're the dude that's supposed to be filled with hatred and I'd be ice cold, and you want to hit a dummy with a folding chair? Yeah. So we brought it out. He smacked the hell out of that dummy with a folding chair. Came back on the show a few months later. We had him burst through a foam wall of bricks like Kool-Aid Man. Like, this is the guy that you hear horror stories of, and yet turns out to be one of the nicest, coolest guys. And so not only do I respect him from that level, I respect his entrepreneurship and the fact that he's a nerd and an inventor, but I really love that his body of work is incredible. So you package all that together, he's probably one of my favorite guests.
Nice.
Good luck editing that down to 30 seconds, by the way. I'm a huge James Cameron fanboy.
And you know, we're just going to say this is Kevin basically proclaiming his love to James Cameron.
Look, we have a bromance. It's budding. I guess I'm a bromosexual, and I'm okay with that.
Okay, so if you had to choose, or if you had to name, like, 2 of his movies that you just would be in awe, if you could somehow watch them forever, what would they be?
That's tough. Terminator, probably Terminator and Terminator 2. I love both movies for completely different reasons. But if I had to, I would say Terminator 2, and then it depends. I'm gonna kind of take a cop out. If I can have that same Avatar experience that I did in the theater, where I was watching it digitally projected, IMAX 3D, and I was probably a joint and a half into my afternoon. If I can have that version of watching Avatar again, over and over again, that's the one that I would take. I would take that and Terminator 2. Nice. Kids, don't do dope. Stay in school.
We have one more question, and WXAV always asks this question of any guest that we get on. If you could be in a cage match with anybody, living or dead, who would it be and why?
A cage match with anybody, living or dead. Wow. That's tough. I'm a tiny guy. I avoid violence at all costs just because I am so damn tiny. That's rough. Who am I going to call out right now?
I mean, we've gotten people from Mick Jagger to somebody wanting to fight Gandhi.
Ooh, Gandhi's a great choice. That's a great choice. I can't take that. Who wanted to fight Gandhi? Maybe I'll fight them so I can take their choice.
That was actually it was a wrestler that.
Never mind. It sounds like they could kick my ass already.
Yeah. So.
Wow. Let's see. You know what? I would say Sasha Grey.
Sasha Grey.
I would do a cage match with Sasha Grey. Yeah, because the rear naked chokes take on an entirely new meaning with that woman, and if I could ground and pound her, it would be a very quick match, but I'd be smiling at the end of it.
Yeah, and that's actually one thing I do have to say that I'm extremely jealous of. This man has been the presence of more porn stars than you and me could find. Wow.
I've hung out with them. I have hosted shows with them. I've gone to conventions with them. I've even played hide the bowling pin with some of them at the Red Rock Casino during the Adult Entertainment Expo. By the way, phenomenal game. If you ever get a chance to play hide the bowling pin with a porn star, I highly suggest you do it.
You know what? I'll be looking. If I ever make it to LA, I'll be calling you up and see what we can do, man.
I live just a few blocks away from the Vivid Entertainment Building, so you're welcome to come. I'll loan you some binoculars, and you'll have a great time.
Nice.
I'd like to ask you, in all your years of interviewing, have you noticed, or like you were talking about James Cameron, people do seem to be normal people. No matter how grandiose we put them on these pedestals, do they appear as normal people? Like, have you ever interviewed, or have you ever come across someone that actually fulfills the grandiose claims that fall before them?
No, not really. I mean, there's certainly been guests who are colder than others, and I don't know that that's because they are colder people, or if they're just not really into promoting whatever movie they're obligated to be promoting. You know what I mean? It's really hard to tell off of 5 minutes with somebody, and that's sometimes all I have is 5 live minutes to say hello to someone for the first time, try to connect with them, try to get them to promote whatever it is that their publicist wants them to promote, and actually make it entertaining and, get to them on a human level. So there's definitely been some guests where I wasn't able to make that connection, but I don't know that that's because of them. And I never really, whenever I've interviewed like a mega celebrity, someone who's supposed to be that larger than life floating on clouds, oh my God, you have 5 minutes of their time, you should, drop to your knees and kiss their feet. I've never approached it that way. I've always felt like, look, I'm a human being as well. I'm going to treat this person as a human being. I would really like to have fun with them and make it entertaining, of course, but if that's not what they're game for, that's not what they're game for. I've never really had a problem with that, so I've been pretty fortunate. There's definitely been interviews where people have said, oh, this one's going to be rough. I will say, Steven Seagal could kick my ass. He's a big dude. He is a giant guy. I was surprised at how tall he was. Just a big, intimidating figure. And like, he really knows martial arts. So while he might be a little bloated these days, he could still destroy you with one arm. At least me. I'm a very tiny guy again. With that said, when he came on, the list of instructions with how we were able to film him or look at him or talk to him was pretty comical. Now, disclaimer, that might not be any of Steven's doing. That might have zero to do with him. That might have everything to do with his people, because 9 times out of 10, the celebs themselves, they're totally chill. They're awesome. It's the team around them that's neurotic and crazy and impossible to manage. So I don't know that was Steven's doing, but when Mr. Seagal, by the way, which is what you're supposed to call him, when Mr. Seagal came in for the interview, it was like, you're not allowed to film him at this angle. You might reveal something about his hair or his neckline he's not happy with. You can't make any comments about his size. You can't blah, blah, blah. The list went on and on. So, of course, the first thing I did was call him, "Hey, Steve, man, you're a big guy." The first thing I said at the interview. Like, and I didn't really mean to. I didn't do it like, "Yeah, fuck you, man, I'm above your rules." Not at all. I just sort of naturally, that was my response. It was like, "Hey, Steve," rude, and you're a big guy. Just honest. He's a big dude. I think he was sensitive about his weight, but what I was saying is, you're a giant guy. You could crush me in the palm of your hand. And, again, to his credit, he didn't walk off set. He didn't rip off a mic, and he didn't start gnawing on my face. He kind of giggled, and we took it from there. So there you go.
Nice. So how about this? Why don't we wrap up the interview? Why don't you give one more promotion for Lead Up?
Sure.
And then we can get into a couple of sweepers.
You got it. I would beg and plead anyone with the slightest nerd or party inkling to please check out leadup.com. That's LEETUP.com, or find us on Twitter at leadup. We're having a nerd carnival. It's a bit of a hangout. There will be music, podcasts, gaming celebrations, sketch comedy. It's all happening under one roof, probably in a city that you're in or at least adjacent to. So please come on out and have a good time with us.
Well, when are you coming to Chicago then?
That is a great question. When am I coming to Chicago? You guys probably know that more than I do. Let me pull up the site. Let me pull up leadup.com, because I know it says right there, we are coming to Chicago on... Come on, Internet, really? We're going to be the 10/14. My math is correct. That's October 14th.